G'day guys, Fon here, and welcome to the Fon Supercoach YouTube channel. The pilot episode for the channel, if you like. So a special warm welcome to all those who are watching. It is currently the 1st of Feb, and I felt like it would be a good time to get out the first team reveal of the season, the 2025 season, as practice matches are only a couple of weeks away. So even though practice matches are only a couple of weeks away, plenty has happened so far. I'll probably just do a quick run through of the preseason news, mostly injuries, well, all injuries, before getting into the team. And we'll just discuss the injuries and how they affect other players who may be Supercoach relevant. So the first one, I've got them in date order, or close to, so we'll just go through top to bottom. First one, Christian Petrarca, another cracked rib. I'm not sure if it was the same ribs as that freak injury last year. But should be all good to go for the practice games. He's currently still in non-contact training, but close to full training, as well as he only missed the one session, I think. So he's still been running, kicking, has all the skills and fitness built up. I think if you were going to pick track anyway, the news probably doesn't really affect you. And if you weren't, the news probably doesn't really affect you either, obviously, if you're not going to pick him. So next one, Nick Dacos with some plantar fasciitis. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Not really sure. Anyway, for those who don't know, plantar fasciitis can vary in its extremities and severities. For some people, it can be extraordinarily painful and quite crippling. For some people, it can be a little bit painful, but very easy to manage. The length and duration of the injury, it's probably something that Nick will have to manage throughout the whole season. There are some crazy stories of guys like Robert Harvey intentionally snapping it to make sure it heals properly so they don't have to manage it. Doubt that's the case. If you've seen any videos of Dacos, he's still flying around at training. I don't think he's completing full match sims, like 2/3 or 3/4 something. Don't quote me on that. But he still looks good. If you were going to pick him, maybe caution to the wind. There could be some games where he's a little bit more heavily managed, or the Pies get up a lot. He might get rested a bit, not sure. The next one I've got here is Elliot Yeo, who is out for 4 to 8 weeks from today, which means he will miss the start of the season, or probably will. If he's back in 4 weeks, he won't, but he probably will. Yo's probably not really a Supercoach pick himself this year after he was very successful as a mid-price last year. This is more interesting to see how it affects the other mids at West Coast. So guys like Harley Reid, Tim Kelly, those guys probably aren't really relevant. It could affect someone like a Jack Hutchison, who's apparently been training wing and a little bit inside, so he might get an uptick in his CBAs. He had a good score at the end of last year, around 24, about 100, I believe, or 90 in a CBA role. So he's about 220k, so he could be an interesting option. Another one is rookie Tom Gross. Let's have a look. Yeah, Tom Gross, 113k for West Coast. He was getting a big raps from their last match sim, which was yesterday, I believe. He was the best player in the 2 side, or the second 18. So, take that as you will. But obviously, there's 4 more spots to fill from that 18. He was really good. Could debut early, especially with Yo out. The next one is Tim English. A painful own for me last year. So, I'm not touching this guy this year. He's had some abdominal bruising. I think he's on a modified program, no timeline, not sure. Probably good to go by practice games. Probably doesn't really affect you if you're starting or fading. The next one was a popular pick in the forward line, Mateus Filippo, who has a stress fracture, I believe, and he's going to miss the start of the season, probably first 4 or 5 weeks at least. He was definitely in my side, and I've had to scramble to replace him. There's obviously a bit of a void left in that midfield now. I think it's anyone's guess as who replaces them. There's no indication from last year. It could be a Sinclair. It could be a Hugo Garcia, who's been tearing it up in the 2s and training the house down. So everything you like to hear. It could be someone else. It could be a Paddy Wow, who was really crook recently or had an infection or something like that. Not sure if he'll be up for it. Who knows? A bit of a practice match watch. Ryan Marshall from the Saints as well, has a fractured pelvis. A bit of an interesting injury, that one. But yeah, it looks like he may miss the start of the season or maybe okay in time for round one. If he does miss, that's good for Harry Boyd or potentially Alex Dodson. I'm not sure which one will play. From what I've read, it appears to be Boyd at the moment. But yeah, it also means when he comes back, it might not be solo ruck, which is good for Boyd still. Again, if the guy goes 60, he makes a fat stack of cash and you can trade him out pretty easily. So yeah, it's good in that sense. But yeah, if you're looking to pick Ron Marshall, it's probably not something you want to do at the start of the year, particularly not obviously if this is the first round. The next one I've got is Jordan Ridley, who has a quad tear, I believe, or a strain. Should be okay by the second practice match, I think, is what Essendon is saying. A guy injury prone like Ridley, if you were going to pick him, he's good value. Does he get enough ball? Not sure. If you're going to pick him, he's probably an avoid for now, just a little bit of a reminder of how injury prone he is. So yeah, Jordan Ridley. Kitty Coleman's the next one. Apparently had a setback with his ACL, so might miss round one, might not. There's been a bit of speculation over this. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just probably worth noticing. Referencing. The next one I have is Jason Johannesson. Obviously not a Supercoach pick, but it could affect someone like a Bailey Dale, who's been not popular, but I've definitely seen in teams. It could be an uptick in his scoring. I think JJ was playing off half-back at the end of last year. Could be wrong. The next one I've got is George Wardlaw. Leaves a little bit of a hole in that North Melbourne midfield. He's out for 10 to 12 weeks, I want to say, with a hamstring strain. Probably gets eased back into it as well, given his history. Really sad for a upcoming player that I think is a fan favourite, the Warlord. What does that mean for North? Does Harry Sheasel get more CBAs? Does Jai Simpkin get more CBAs? Luke Parker? Will Phillips? I don't know. Someone has to get them, so they're a big watch in that respect. I presume it won't affect LDU because he can't really play anywhere else. The next one I've got is Adam Treloar, who is out for 8 to 10 weeks, meaning he will miss at least the first 1 to 2 rounds of the season. What does that mean for the Dogs? They've just brought in Matt Kennedy. He might get some more mid-time. It means that Riley Sanders might move into that midfield from the VFL. There could be a VFL guy that Bevo plucks out and puts in there as well. Who knows? It is Bevo after all. So yeah, just one to watch in that space in regards to Sanders and Kennedy. And then the last one I've got, don't know why I've got him here, but Zach Jones, probably not best 22 for the Saints anyway. Could open the door more for a Hugo Garcia type. Not sure. Again, probably not best 22 anyway. Probably doesn't matter. All right, that's the injuries. So let's get into the side. At D1, I'll talk about the players I don't have that are popular afterwards, but at D1 I have Jack Sinclair. I don't like a lot of the defender options. I think they're all either overpriced or they have the buy, most of them. Sinclair seems to have some potential upside and the least risk of downside. I will admit this Filippo injury does scare me a little bit because he may go into the midfield, which is where he scores worse. But yeah, I do like Jack Sinclair. There's a couple of fixtures, I think, early that could be potentially captain options, which, as you'll see when I get through my team, I've been reaching for a little bit. So that's also good. He doesn't have an insane back-ended Marvel run, so I do think it's worth starting him. I think the fixture's pretty nice at the start as well. So yeah, Jack Sinclair at D1. The next one I have is everyone's favourite redhead, James Sicily. I don't believe he'll spend much time forward. It looks like from reports Mitchell's going to start him in defence anyway. The guy is not really a forward. I think if you plonk him forward for multiple weeks in a row, he's going to get diminishing returns. It's better to just swing him back at the end of quarters when he can have an effect. If that means he's playing 5 to 10% forward time, I'm okay with that. It's not the end of the world. He'll probably still score well, especially given they have Battle and Barras and Frost, and I think Blank's coming back from ACL relatively soon as well. He's going to be freed up. He's one of the most damaging halfbacks in the league. Just lock him in. The next one I have is another interceptor type. It's Tom Stewart, who, as you can see here, only 8% owned. Not a massively popular pick. A guy who I think is value, I think there's 3 injury games priced into him, as well as a couple tags. He's going to get tagged still. Knowing Tom Stewart, he's probably going to have an injury game or two. But I do think his value. There is this new role as well that he's playing where Chris Scott throws him into the midfield and then he floats back. I'm not sure why that's deterring tags, because it's fairly easy to put a guy in the midfield and have him follow him back to half back and have a guy run forward, so from the forward line. So I'm not sure how that's working, but it is working. It's been effective for Geelong. I don't know if Bailey Smith affects that role that Stewart had. So yeah, a bit to play out. I do like the pick. He does share the bye with Coleman and Mills, I believe. I don't have Coleman, bit of a spoiler, but I don't have Coleman. I'm not sure he'll be ready to go round 1. If I do, I may reshuffle. The next one I have is someone I just mentioned, Callum Mills. He's playing mid-time, just lock. He's a lock for me. That's simple. If it looks like he's going to get swung back for whatever reason, I don't see why that would be the case. I think they need him in the midfield. I think they lack another extractor to get it out to your Gouldens and your Warners and, whoever's coming off half back, Blakey. I think they need him in there. Don't see why he'd go to half back. If he does, I'm probably not interested at Callum Mills at half back. Think he'll get some defensive jobs that, as I said, not interested in. The next one I have is, where is he? Toby Travaglia. Appears to be playing wing and some half-back. I think I've read that the Saints are trialling Nazaya Wanganeen-Miller a little bit further up the ground. Clubs do this in preseason. It probably doesn't mean anything. That means Travaglia might get some rotations to half-back. He's talented. He's probably one of the better Supercoach prospects for year 1 in this draft, but from what it seems. So I've locked him in. If I think it's going to be the fat side wing per se, I'll probably pivot somewhere else. The next one I have is Saad El Hawley. I've read some conflicting things about Saad. So I've read some Essendon fans are massive on him. He's getting a big pump up at the end of last season before he got injured. Probably would have played. Some track watchers have been saying he's quiet or playing in the twos. I'm not sure. I think he had an injury scare a couple weeks ago. Not sure. A lot to play out. Bit of a watch. Rookies are mostly placeholders at this point, so I probably won't try and waste too much time on them. The next one I have is James Leake. There's a couple of holes in that Giants defense with Nick Haynes and Isaac Cumming moving on. I think one of James Leake or Connor Stone is going to fill the hole left by Haynes. Leake has very good VFL numbers from a prolonged period of time. Good interceptor, and I believe a good distributor and rebounder as well, so he's locked in. The next one I have is Jed Busslinger, a man that the Bont pumped up himself, so, when the Bont speaks, I listen. He's in the side. He's a key defender. I think he has decent scoring pedigree from the VFL as well in terms of fantasy points, which is pretty rare for key defenders, so should score. If not, there's guys like Zach Reed around who hopefully gets a good run of it. I might pick anyway. I picked him last year, even though he, unfortunately got injured. I think I had him for the whole season in the end. There's other guys around. I think some more will pop up when we start the season as well. Alrighty, into the midfield, and at M1, I have Zach Butters. Actually, I'm going to talk about defenders that I don't have first. Bit of a spoiler. Okay. So, highly owned players I don't have. Sam Flanders, 25% ownership. A lot of his scores came when he had that disgusting role at the start of the year. A lot of his scoring came here where he was just playing chip mark in the back line. I think that's what happened here. It's a lot of chip mark. He got swung forward at the end of the year. Can clearly score in the role. I think he's overpriced. I'll have him at some point. Also has the buy. Definitely don't like overpriced plus buy. Harry Sheasel, swung forward, probably has good CBAs. Again, think he's max priced, so I think I can get him cheaper earlier. I'm also trying to be mindful of the round 12 buy. There's a lot of good players on that buy, so he's missed the cut for now. Lockie Whitfield has the buy. Yeah, I think he's close to max price as well. Luke Ryan, I think, is over max price. Don't think he will junk it up like he did last year. Dane Zorko is more interesting to me than these guys. He plays his role the best in the whole comp, I believe. He's 2% owned, not that popular for obvious reasons. Has the bye, soft tissue injury, etc., etc. Dan Houston, 12% is interesting. I have no idea how Collingwood's going to use Houston. They also have the bye, so that's why I've given him the miss. Jordan Clark at 5%. I think he is about max priced as well, which is why I'm not interested. I will say Freo has a good fixture, and I think it's their year, so maybe there's some value there from that regard. I spoke about Nas. I think he's going to play a little bit further up the ground, so not overly interested. Max Holmes, not sure on the role. Geelong's hard to get a read on in the preseason. Also has the bye. Would rather wait and see. Bailey Dale is the one that I am most interested in. He's only 2%. He's a sort of quarterback type. He's probably a little bit value. There's a sub-game price into him. So could be some value. I do like Dale. I like that he doesn't have the early bye. However, I don't like that he has around 12 bye, which is why I don't have him for now. Is there anyone interesting? Rioli 3% is fascinating. McKercher, again, don't understand the role. I take North track watches with a grain of salt at this time of the year because the players are beating up on North VFL players. No disrespect. I think their VFL program's actually going pretty well, but it's easier to look good against the twos instead of playing against another side like, I don't know, Hawthorn, St Kilda, something like that. So we want to see the role there. I also don't think he's going to push for top 6 defence, so I don't see the point in starting him at 480k. Who else have we got here? I spoke about Coleman. Don't think he's going to be right for round 1. Jaden Short, I've owned in the past. I find him a frustrating own. He seemed disinterested last year. He's a soft tissue injury merchant. He is definitely value. Again, I'm not like McKercher. I don't think he's top 6. So that's my stance on Short. Roberts has the bye. Would love some more info on Roberts. Just not sure yet. I think that covers it. Mostly, 16%. Gibcus. Don't think he'll play round 1. Looks like he's being eased in. Caleb Smith. I've seen a lot of this. I have no information on this guy. Could be a placeholder. Yeah. Zach Reed I spoke about. And yeah, let's get into the mids. As I said, Zach Butters, M1. He's my main captain option early. They have Richmond in the first 5 weeks, which is a smash matchup. I think Butters probably, I look at these guys and I think he might have some value in there. Doesn't have the bye, obviously. I think Dagos is value. Has the bye, has the plantar fasciitis. That's why I don't have him. That's why I've gone with Butters at M1. The next player I have is Andrew Brayshaw, who finished the year like a house on fire. Just like Brayshaw, I think the tag risk has gone from him. I think taggers will go for Young or for Sarong over Brayshaw, which has opened the door for him. He had a bit of an injury at the start of the year, priced into him. I really like Brayshaw, just gets the job done, has lots of scoring avenues, just lock him in. As I said before, talking about Jordan Clark, Freo has a good fixture, so keen to get him in there. Next one I have is Christian Petrarca. He's obviously underpriced, I believe. Had the rib issues. I'm not too worried about that. He's the ultimate professional. I am also a Melbourne supporter, I should admit, so might be a little bit biased. I think Melbourne's going to have a better year than what people anticipate. We have a soft fixture. Petrarca scores well and wins. I think it's looking up for Petrarca. He's priced at 103. I think he can do 115. I think he's a lock, in my opinion. The next one I have is Jordan Dawson. He's only 3% owned. I thought he'd be a little bit higher. I guess he burned a lot of people last year. I think a lot of the early scores last year were rare occurrences. He just hacked the ball, butchered it. That's not in Dawson's game. He's a clean disposal normally, clean kick, an excellent kick. He's a good tackler. I think he's M1 in fantasy last year. So yeah, he can clearly score. He just needs to tidy up the disposal, which I think he will. I think he carried an injury a little bit at the start of last year. I'm locking him in. Obviously, Adelaide's midfield has a lot to play out here with Peatling coming in. Crouch is back. Looks like Laird's gone to half back. There's still Pedler and Schoenberg and Berry and all those sorts of guys in there. Saligo, Rankin. Not sure how it's going to look. So if I think Dawson's role isn't going to be there, I'll flick him out. I will say, I think with a healthy forward line, he won't be stuck forward as much. And I think with Miller and potentially Cumming, he won't be needed behind the ball as much. So I think he should be a full CBA midfielder. Would like to see it in the pracky matches. I'm sure we will. Next one I have is Clayton Oliver. I think I said Sicily was everyone's favourite redhead, but Clayton's my favourite redhead. Obviously, I'm biased. Has the power back, looks fit. Last year he was looking a little bit tubby if you can for an athlete. He's got a six-pack now. Just lock him in. Easiest pick of the year, I think. The next one I have is Adam Chera, who's a little bit of a pod, it appears. Apparently in great health. I didn't mention in the injuries, Sam Walsh had a hamstring strain, I believe. I presume he'll be there for round 1, but if not, that's also good for Chera. He's done 108 in the past, and that was with Kennedy there. He's priced really cheap. Carlton has some good matchups early. I'm not massively sold on this pick yet. I might split him into other mid prices. I'll probably discuss that more towards the end of the team reveal. But yeah, I do like Chera for now. I don't think I'll go into round 1 with him, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out. All right, the next one I have, all the way down here, I'll discuss Peatling and Hollands and those types soon. Nathan O'Driscoll got to 330k in his rookie season. Well, his first season he started playing. People were trading him after 1 price rise when he would have been this price. He's now 2 years older. He's injury prone, but because he's so cheap, that's why I have him. I do like the guy as well. I think he's a good player. Can do damage from the wing. Has all the attributes. So that's why I've picked him. Next one I have is Jagger Smith. Jagger I'm not sure about. I think he's probably 4th in line for CBAs at Carlton. He's not versatile. Could he be a sub-risk? Apparently he looks really good training the house down, all that sort of stuff. Clearly going to be a good player. If he was drafted to Richmond, he probably would have been the second pick player after Clayton Oliver for me. I'm not sure. There's a lot to play out. These draftees are quite awkward this year. I don't have Levi Ashcroft. I'll speak about later. Laylor, Finno Sutherland. The roles are questionable. A lot of them have gone to teams where they don't have great roles walking in the door. There's guys to beat out who are quite talented. So I'm not sure. A lot to play out with rookies. We'll see in the practice games with them. Who have I got next? Angus Sheldrick. Again, not sure Sheldrick will play. He's getting a good pump up in the preseason. I'm not sure what role he'll play if he does play. He has great VFL numbers. He's had good AFL numbers when he's played in the ones. So, yeah, I've locked him in for now. Xavier Lindsay is the next one. There was some early discourse about him playing off half back. That doesn't appear to be the case. It looks like he'll probably play wing half forward. He is an accumulator and a good user. If that wing role gets locked in, I'm not sure I'll run with this. But Melbourne's been tight-lipped. It's hard to get information out of them. I think they've done 1 half match sim in their preseason so far. So again, lots to play out with all of these rookies. The last one I have here is Bo Allen. Should get opportunity. Don't think he's going to be a massive scorer. With opportunity in that side, probably good enough to make 150k. That's my logic anyway. If not, there's plenty of good guys around. So, yeah, let's discuss players I don't have. The first one is Bont, obviously. I can't remember the last time I didn't own Bont, so I'm a little bit scared about this. I also do like his opening fixture. He's just so expensive. I think he's going to lose 100k. I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. I want to get him in early. So, yeah, he's a good captain option, so I want him as soon as possible. But, yeah, too expensive for mine at the start. Lucky Neal 6%, too expensive. Getting on in years. Don't love the pick. Also has the buy. Nick Dacos has the buy. He's going to explode at some point. He's going to go 130 one year. I don't think it's this year with the injury. He's like Bont. You hate betting against these guys, but I'm reasonably confident I'm going to get him cheaper at some point. He does also have a James Jordan tag in round 5, I think. Yeah, round 5, which is just before upgrade season. So, yeah, hopefully he drops a little bit of cash here. I'm not convinced this is a great matchup or this one, but he cooks these teams regularly. He cooks everyone. Dacos is a bloody good player. So, yeah, as I said, don't like betting against him, but hope I can get him in after a potential James Jordan tag. Sarong, I just prefer Brayshaw. I don't think there's anything that's going to split these guys in terms of Supercoach this year. Prefer Brayshaw as he's 30k cheaper. I think teams might go after Sarong as well with a tag, so might be able to get him cheaper later on in the season. Zach Merritt, 8% is interesting. He's probably max price. He's playing, his role got messed around with a lot at the end of last year, playing half forward. He's now playing half back in the preseason. I don't want anything to do with this pick with a buy as well at the start. Cripps, not for me. LDU is a guy I like. I haven't got him because A, he has a round 12 buy, and B, he normally drops a stinker where you can get him in cheap. Normally it's when they get blasted. The Bulldogs love destroying North Melbourne. It could happen early, could happen before you can get him in. Not sure. Think I'll be able to get him if I want him at some point. Same goes for Jack Steele. Normally there's a stinker at some point, or the last couple of years have shown that. I think he went 130 one year. I think that was the first year I was playing this sort of seriously. I don't really remember it too well, but he didn't drop too many bad games then. I'm not sure if he'll be that. He won't be that Uber 120, 125 guy. Probably around about the 115 mark. We'll probably get him in at some point. Think having Jack McRae helps him there. Another guy to just, get it out to, and he's a good user. So, Sam Walsh, 2%. I will talk about Noah Anderson. Noah Anderson, I was looking before, just sort of thinking upgrade targets. Wouldn't start him because of the bye. Gold Coast also have 4 of the first 6 away from home, I want to say. Noah Anderson scores, I think he averages 85 away from home, which is 20 points less than the average. So he's going to get cheap. He does have West Coast early. It is away from home. He's probably going to score well there, and I'm going to look like a fool after one round, but I'm betting after 5 or 6 rounds I'll look right. He averages 130 at home. Now, that is interesting. He doesn't have a massive home game run like the Saints did last year with Sinclair. But these games at the end of the year... Oh, West Coast isn't. Oh, that's 24. But these games at the end of the year, it's 3 of the last 5. That's not a great matchup. His lowest is 122 against Richmond. He's probably going to go 100. He might go 200 in this game. Who knows? I may get into Noah Anderson at some point. He's guaranteed to get cheap. He's probably a frustrating own. Maybe he's the ideal 24th primo this year. Who knows? Tom Green. Do like Tom Green. Don't like the buy. Not sure the Giants are going to play a contested enough game for Tom Green to put up massive Supercoach numbers. So that's why I'm willing to fade. He also drops a stinker pretty much every year. So you can get him at some point. Cheaper than he was. Shark is 5%. Wow. Horn Francis, I'll talk about in the forwards. Spoke about Holmes. I've seen some Ed Richards. He could get the uptick with Treloar out. I'm not sure he's Uber anyway. I'm not sure he's a 115 guy. This price I don't love. Newcomb, don't think he's a 115 guy. Same with Rosie. They do offer value if you think they're going 110. They're not the sort of picks. I don't like picking these guys who are priced at about 100, just going 110. They're always below the guy you ultimately want in terms of scoring and price. It requires a trade for not much value. That's where I stand on it. So yeah, I'm not interested in those guys. Tim Taranto, the fantasy community is big on Tim Taranto, but obviously he's a bit of a butcher, so not great for Supercoach. Will Day, 15%. Wow. Will Day's 500k. He finished last year like a house on fire when the Hawks were on their steamroll at the end of the season. He had a lot of games where with massive ratio differences between Supercoach and fantasy, like a few plus 30s, a lot of plus 15s. That seems unsustainable to me. That seems like scaling games. I think Hawthorn have a tougher draw this year. They're not just going to hum through and win 10 in a row like Will Day had in that hot streak last year. Think he'll be an Uber at some point. Don't think it's this year. He is also made of glass and has the buy. 2 things I don't love, so that's why I'm not picking. Darcy Parish is semi-interesting. He was M1 for about 10 weeks in 2021, I want to say. So the scoring potential is there. I think he's had too many soft tissue injuries to get back to that at this point. Hope I'm wrong. You want to see your best players going well, even if they do play for Essendon. But yeah, not sure about Parrish. Not for me at this stage. I could pick him. I could see myself pivoting to Parrish from Chera. 1% chance probably. Don't think he's going to go that uber primo like he has in the past. Who else have we got here? Will Ashcroft, don't like the buy. Not convinced on the role for mine. Think that's too much half forward. If it looks like he's going to get massive CBAs, I may go there over Chera. But yeah, I'm not convinced it'll happen. Harley Reid is good. He'll be an Uber at some point, not this year. Shea Bolton I'll talk about in the forwards. Same with Bailey Smith. Peatling, 21%. I'm just not sure about this Adelaide midfield mix. He did have good scores at the end of the season last year with the Giants when he got good CBAs. If I'm the Crows, my midfield mix is Crouch and Dawson in there as much as possible. Salee goes at 3, and then so that leaves Rankin and Peatling battling it out for 4 and 5. Not sure the CBAs will eventuate. Adelaide isn't as good as a side as the Giants, so generally less Supercoach points. Not always the case. That's where I stand on Peatling. I'm not a believer he can make enough money to justify the pick. What else we got here? I'll talk about him in the forwards. Oh, Ollie Hollands. I've seen a bit of Ollie Hollands. Apparently playing half back. This is interesting. We had Nick Martin last year, who was more expensive, moved to half back from the wing as well. Nick Martin was also a butcher. Ollie Hollands is a super butcher. The difference between Hollands and Martin, both have excellent work rates, both outside types. I think Martin is a better accumulator. I'm not sold on this Hollands pick. Could see myself going there. Could see myself splitting Chera into a bunch of guys. Hollands is one of them. 330k is an awkward price for someone you want to move into your defense. He's not going to be primo priced. If he makes 150k, it's good anyway. I'm not convinced he will. They still have Sard back there. Boyd's not a bad kick. I'm not sure how this goes. I need to see more for Ollie Hollands for mine. Let's see, anyone here interesting? I was thinking about Cam McKenzie and Josh Ward. I'm not sure their roles will be good enough to pick. But they're at that age that they need to... Ward especially needs to get going. Otherwise, he's going to be on the outside in a rising Hawks team. So one to watch, I think, for me. Isaac Cumming, if this guy's fit and playing even 50% of the game behind the ball, I'm going to pick him. He has done a second hamstring strain, I think, in this preseason recently. So not looking like he's going to be fit. So I don't know, but I have owned Cumming in the past. It was definitely an error to own him at that time. I think I traded him in the week that Harry Himmelberg got moved behind the ball. So that was a bit of an L for me, but, it happens. So yeah, I am interested in Cumming. He's mega value. Can he stay on the park? I'm not sure. Just remembering, I forgot to discuss Wayne Miller before for the Crows. Same thing. If he's on the park, I'm interested. He's cheap. He's value. The question is, how long can he stay on the park? Not sure. They also don't have the bye, which is another good thing about them. Cam Guthrie, 4% is higher than I thought. I am very interested in Guthrie. Want to see the role. And I want to know, can he stay fit? Can he get through the rest of the preseason before I pick him? But I am interested. I have got my eyes on him massively. He got to 600k one point, I think, before he crashed and burned. He got injured. It's not fair to say he crashed and burned. But yeah, got my eyes on Cam Guthrie. All right, who else is in here that could be a Supercoach pick that is not a forward? We got rookies here. Laylor, I'm not convinced he's going to have the role or the scoring power early on. He's 200k. It's a lot to ask for a 200k guy to come in, and especially a guy that raw. So I'm not sure about him. Finn O'Sullivan, not sure on the role. There's been a lot. He's been pumped up, clearly talented. Want to see the role. There's a lot of mouths to feed in the North midfield. He might play half back. I'm not sure how that'll go. It doesn't seem to be a role that he would thrive in. Ed Allen, he's a massive watch for me, as are all these guys. Could play, may not play. Who knows? I think he will play. I just don't know the role. I don't know if he's a sub risk. A lot of these guys I think are sub risks. So there's a huge argument for minimising the rookies on field because they are sub risks. There's a lot to play out with preseason. They're all massive watches. Elijah Sardis, big watch. He's the training the house down champion at the moment so far in the preseason. So we'll see how he goes. He's going to need to play, I think. Otherwise, he might go elsewhere, and there'll be places he'll get a game. Draper is one who will be in my side if he plays round one. He's being heavily managed at the moment. Had back issues, I believe. Big watch. Levi Ashcroft, another one. If he plays, and I don't think he's a sub risk, he will be in the side. Not much else to say about that. Langford, again, if he plays, I don't think the role's going to be that good. It's going to be a mostly half forward type. He's slow. He's a weird option for half forward. He'll be a really good scorer when he gets going in the midfield. I don't see that happening with Petrarca, Oliver, and Viney, Rivers, all those types. He might get, maybe he gets 20% CBAs. Maybe that's enough. I'm not sure. He's good overhead, so could work in his favour. Smiley, he's been in my side most of the preseason. I think he had an injury setback. If he plays, he will get the role. He's very similar to a lot of the guys they have in that midfield, so I'm not sure how that Richmond midfield will work. I'm not sure how anything for Richmond will work, but he's again another watch. I don't think Lombard will play early. That's a stacked midfield. Mitch Nevitt, the baby Bont. Hard to know with Geelong. If he plays, I'll probably pick him. He's got good scoring pedigree, especially if he gets an inside gig. Kako, not sure what the role is. Probably can score, very talented. So, again, another watch in preseason. Apparently, Murphy Reed might play early. Clay Hall might get opportunity. Talk about Elijah Hewitt when I get to the forwards. Hustwaite, I don't think will play. Who else we got here? I think I covered most of the important ones. Yeah. Oh, Tom Gross. Tom Gross is getting a massive pump up on the West Coast big footy boards. Dominated for the second side. So, yeah, he's one to watch as well. Let's get into the rucks. Let's make this nice and quick. DeConning, Shrek, and Harry Boyd. I'm also going to plonk my flex in here. I'm sure no one's suspected about this. I'm not going to scroll through all the players. Flynn. Matty Flynn. There's speculation he's not R1 at West Coast. That would shock me given what Bailey Williams has dished up the last couple of years. And I think he was meant to be more of a chop-out ruck. Third tall forward type. So I'd be shocked if Flynn wasn't R1 come round one. DeConing, if Pitternet plays, I have zero interest in Tom DeConing. But if he doesn't play, Tom DeConing averages 130. I'm going to pick that. It's really simple. That's potentially the best scorer in Supercoach right there. So, who knows? Shrek. I'm not massive on Shrek. If I didn't go Shrek, I'd probably find a way to get up to Gorn. I'll discuss the other rucks in a second. Not sure. Don't love the injury history. I'm not worried about Luke Jackson at all. Shrek scores well when he plays, regardless of Luke Jackson being in the side or not. The question with Shrek is, can he play? He's looking fit. I did encounter him at the Orong Hotel one evening before Christmas. He was looking in good nick. I've seen him before, and he wasn't looking in that good nick. So, he's looking fit. I hope he has a good season. Big Shrek. Talking about some other rucks. Max Gawn, I think I like more than Cherry as a starting pick. That's very obviously an unpopular opinion. I think it's revenge season for Melbourne. Again, I am biased, so, take it with a grain of salt. I think Gawn can score more than this. We've seen in the past. He is an old man now. Rucks don't tend to fall off the cliff with age, so that's the way I look at it. Melbourne has a soft run from about rounds. I don't have to guess. I can just tell you. They play Richmond and West Coast in back-to-back rounds. Mega matchups for Rucks. It's actually not that soft, but they close the season out well. You're gonna want Gorn at some point probably. I'd be interested in starting him. The reason I don't like Cherry is I think he had a flash in the pan one off super season. Obviously a talented player, probably someone pending De Koning's injuries and Pitnet, could be someone you want to own. There's also the flex spot, which is probably going to be best served as a ruckman. Again, pending how injuries go. Sherry's got abnormally high tackle numbers. I've seen some varying opinions on this. Lots of people think it will regress. That's the camp that I sit in. Some people think, I saw Moreira's Magic was saying, guys who tackle. That's what they do. So who knows? Maybe Cherry's fine. Maybe he won't regress. I think he will. I think North's mids will perform a little bit better, which will lead to less contested possessions for X, less taking it out of the ruck. Hopefully, that's a strategy that I don't love from ruckman a lot of the time, especially when they do it a lot. But yeah, we'll see. I think he's max price anyway, worst case. So you can probably get him 40k cheaper. Marshall injured, potentially Saints going with 2 rucks, so not interested in him. Tim English, can't do it again. When he went 130, I think it was 130, 125 plus, he was getting junk around the ground. That makes no sense for a ruckman. They moved away from it last year. He took a kick in, for God's sake, at some point when he was going 130. It doesn't make sense. You're meant to be kicking to the packs with a ruckman in it. It's Bevo madness. It's Bevo madness. I don't know what to say. I can't own English again, even if he's going berserk. I'll bet against him. It's not a good strategy to have in Supercoach. Can't do it to myself. So I'm not going to pick English. Darcy Cameron, I presume that's just Collingwood fans picking him. Lloyd Meek, I have seen a lot of Lloyd Meek. I just don't understand where the upside is. He's a solid battler ruckman. He's not going to go berserk. He's not going to be the game breaker that you need from the ruck line like a Conning or a Darcy. I just don't see where the scoring's going to come from. Briggs is an interesting one. When he was a rookie or a mid-pricer, I can't remember, he went berserk. He's clearly value. Has the bye. The shoulder was very crook last year. He was playing injured. Not a pick that I hate. Just think there's better options. Who else we got here? I should probably have talked about Sam De Koning, who might be doing ruck duties for Geelong. They also have Conway on the list. Still got Stanley. That's not I don't want to throw myself into that mess with Supercoach terrorist Chris Scott in the ruck department personally. So I'm not touching any Geelong players playing ruck. Spoke about Flynn. Fort's interesting. I don't know if McInerney's back for round 1. If Fort plays like primary ruck for 6 weeks, you probably have to pick him. The rucks just score. He's going to make 150k playing primary ruck for 6 weeks. So that's definitely something to watch. Maley's getting pumped up by the North boards, as is every North player. I think I spoke about Dodson and Boyd a little bit with the Marshall injury. I probably won't reiterate that. So this video is quite long, so let's get into the forward line. First pick in the forward line for me is not the popular Jason Horne-Francis. It is Jack Macrae. I think he's going to be entrenched in that midfield. He just has to go 90 to be a premium in the forward line. He's an easy pick for mine. Bailey Smith, same thing. Easy pick for mine. Buy, don't care. He's value enough. Just want to pick. The next one I have is Caleb Daniel. Where's the little fella? Here we are. North halfback role in forward line for the last few seasons has equaled pick. Even Zach Fisher was okay in that role. So that's easy enough for me. The next one I have is, I don't know what his ownership is. It's 1%. There you go. Hugo Garcia. With the Filippo news, I am hoping that Garcia can go 80, make me some cash, and then I can just side swap him to Filippo when Filippo comes back. He's got really good scoring numbers in the VFL. He's a tackler. He has high work rate. Things you'll have to hear as a Supercoach coach. I've got him for now. Could see him not being in my starting team come the start of the season. Not convinced he'll be in the Saints team in round 1. We'll see how we go. The next one I have here, there's a lot of good options in the forward line, so there's a bit to discuss here. The next one I have is Sam Powell-Pepper. Fully fit. If he gets into the side, I think he's an easy pick. I just don't see how he doesn't make at least 120k. Could give you good on-field scores. Don't think he's a sub-risk. I don't know how... When did he do the ACL? Maybe he is a sub-risk early. But I'm willing to carry the early sub-risk. So he just does the ACL in round 7. I'm willing to carry the early sub-risk. I think. Provided he doesn't get injured. Maybe that's bad logic. I don't know. I've got him for now. He has scoring pedigree. He's just an easy pick for mine. Port have a good opening fixture as well. Next one I have is Elijah Hewitt. Should play predominantly midfield for West Coast. Going to get an opportunity. Can score. Talented player. Easy pick for mine. I think he's an on-field option as well. I don't think he'll be a sub-risk, so I like this pick. Next one I have is another Port forward, Joe Berry. I don't know much about Berry. I know Power have been pumping him up. One of the coaches said he was almost a shoe-in to play in round 1, that's a good early indication. Apparently he is was a talented juniors player with scoring potential. More of a stay-at-home, high half. Oh, he's a forward. He's not going to push into the midfield. He might get up nice and high. He has good goal sense from what I've read. I don't know. I like the pick. So yeah, he's in the side for now. And the last one I have is another guy who's apparently a shoe-in to play in round 1. Sam Davidson. Wing half, or I think he was a half forward / third tall in the VFL. The Dogs have him on the wing. The Dogs players score from anywhere, really. They have a large part of the Supercoach pie. Generally, the keys aren't massive outputters. But this guy should play. He should score. Bevo likes the VFL guys, so that sounds good to me. So yeah, let's talk about some other forward options who I have faded. Horn Francis. I just think Horn Francis is max price. Almost all of his scores over 100 last year came with Rosie or Wines out of the side. If Wines or Rosie or even Butters it looks like they're going to be out for the first 5 or 6 weeks, I will put Horn Francis straight in. But if they look like they're going into the season in full health, I've got no interest in starting Horn Francis. I think he's a very safe pick. I don't fault the pick at all. I just think I'm going to be able to get him at 500k at some point in the season, at least. I can probably get him at 450 or 400 as well. Dylan Moore, he'll get cheap at some point. Do like him though as a player. Rankin, I'm not massive on starting. Again, I think he's probably max-ish price. I think I can get him cheaper. He also did I think he had 2 soft tissue injuries. Last year, I won't blame him for the concussion. 3 injuries, not massive on the pick to start anyway. Probably an upgrade target. Any of these picks that I think are reasonable, I will talk about. Baker currently has an ankle complaint. If he gets kick-ins, he's playing half-back. If he gets kick-ins, I will probably consider. Jai Simpkin is one that the fantasy community is very hot on, and he finished last season hot as well. Got some more CBAs. I did a look before where those came from. I don't quite remember. My apologies. But yeah, Simpkin is one that I've got my eye on as well, especially with Wardlaw being out for 10 to 12 weeks. Shea Bolton. The justifications for the Shea Bolton pick for me that I've seen have been record at Optus. Now, he's not going to be playing a terrible West Coast every week. Even when he does play the 2 games against West Coast are better than they have been. So I'm throwing that argument out. I will say that the big ground is probably beneficial for him, but I'm not using that as a reason for picking him. The other reason is mid-time. I don't see how he plays bulk CBAs in that Fremantle midfield with Brayshaw, Sarong, Young, Fife, Johnson, maybe Erasmus, who I don't think will play either. There's a lot of mouths to feed there. Don't think Bolton's going to get mid-time. Kennedy's interesting. I think he could go primo forward. That's without DPPs. I still think there's a chance that a guy like Heaney or Petrarca gets put into the forward line at some point for those respective clubs and they get forward status. Kennedy's worth a watch. Trelaw also out at the start of the year. Will be interesting to see how many CBAs he gets. I wonder if they brought him in to do a similar role to Dunkley when Dunkley was at the Dogs. Another big body in there to protect Bont a little bit. We'll see. If he can go 90, he's obviously a good pick. So, yeah. If he gets enough CBAs, I would definitely be interested in him. There is a bug here. My apologies. Who else have we got here that is interesting? Kai Lohman. Wow. Luke Parker. I just don't understand why North would bring in a 32-year-old, I want to say, Luke Parker, to play midfield in the current midfield. Obviously, he's a terrific player, had a terrific career, or has had a terrific career so far. I think it'll be a lot of forward time. He's a good forward, so I don't see why they would be pushing him into the midfield in mass minutes. I talked about Simpkin earlier, potentially benefiting from Warlord being out. Simpkin is not as good a forward as Parker is, so that's why I think Simpkin's more likely to get moved in there than Parker. But if Parker has the role, I've owned Parker before. He's a very good own. So yeah, he's one to watch for sure. Filippo's injured. Am I missing someone? I feel like I'm missing someone. Someone who I thought was interesting. Maybe not. Dougal Howard had a shoulder injury. I didn't mention that before because I don't think it's relevant. Kama could play in the back line. With that, he's probably too expensive anyway. Probably not going to rack it up enough. Just something that might be worth mentioning. What else have we got here that is interesting? 1% Bailey Humphrey. I like it. Don't think it'll come to fruition, but I like it. What have we got here? Jack Hutchison, 0%. I am surprised. He's going to play round 1. It's probably wing. If he's playing full wing, probably too expensive. Yoey's injured, as I mentioned before. Could get some CBAs. Got CBAs round 24 last year. Looked good. Should be on the watch list massively. I'm very surprised by this ownership percentage. Next one is Ryan Marriage. I was trolling the West Coast Big Footy boards a few hours ago trying to work a couple of these picks out. Ryan Marriage is taking kick-ins at the moment, and he is playing third tall interceptor and rebounding for the one side for West Coast. They're going to get a lot of ball back there. He's a good kick, and obviously kick-ins are great. Baker is out, so he may lose the kick-ins, but he looks like he will play there round 1. My worry with Marriage is that he can't defend. He apparently has played some key defense, third tall defender in juniors, so maybe he can defend. If he can't defend, he'll probably get dropped. That's my issue. So that's what I want to see, or he get moved forward. I don't want him as a forward. So yeah, he's a massive watch for me. I could see myself splitting chair into like Marriage, Hutchison, and Cumming or Miller or all those types. So that's why I'm watching these guys quite closely. Who else have we got here? It's probably mostly rookies now. Oh, Tom Lynch had a concussion the other day. Don't think that's relevant. He's going to start in round 1 anyway, providing he gets there. I want to see how far up the ground he's playing, how many contested marks he's going to be involved, packs. I want to see if he can score from that because I don't think he's going to be kicking too many bags. Richmond don't have a great fixture at the start of the year. When you're seemingly as bad as Richmond, your fixture never looks good. So I don't know. Maybe he has a couple of games where he can kick 3 or 4. They do need to come early enough that the game's not over as well. That's why I'm not massive on Lynch. I do like these key forwards that are this price. I started Danaher when he was cheap 1 year for Brisbane. That was a great pick. I think Kerno was a good pick when he was cheap as well. Can't quite remember. I don't know. I do actually like the key forwards who can kick bags with history as when they're this cheap. So definitely one to watch. Lewis won't play round 1. They're also going to be cautious with him, but he's in that same vein. Curtin is popular. I'm not sure what the role is for Curtin. He might get mid-time. Another guy who could get mid-time there. He's a wait and see for me. Jack Martin, would love to see the role. Would love to see him get to round 1. I haven't heard a single thing about him in the preseason, so that's not really a great sign. But yeah, we'll see. I think I spoke about Kako before, so I won't speak about him. Warner appears to be playing in the ones. Corey Warner, that is. Not sure. He's probably a massive sub risk, so yeah, we'll see with that. Seen a bit of Patton. Not sure what the go with that is. So yeah, not interested at the moment. Don't see how Dev Robinson gets a game. It's the same thing with Erasmus. I just don't see how he gets into the Freo midfield. He's not versatile, so he has to play there. If he doesn't play there, he's going to be massive sub risk. Just not interested in Erasmus. Simpson's getting a pump up on the big footy boards. Probably will play round 1. Don't know how much he'll play after that. He's a small, high half forward type. Probably not a great scorer. I think there's going to be better options. Connor Stone, where are you? I think I spoke about Connor Stone before when I was talking about Leak, but he might play that Nick Haynes role. He won't have Haynes level scoring, but he should score well. He should score enough to make money in that role. So that's worth noting. Not sure any of those guys are going to play. Judson Clark's 120k. What did he make in... Was it this year? No, okay. Average 20. He could be one to watch. He might play. So yeah, probably keep him on your preseason watch list. Max Hall, good pump ups from the Saints board. Not sure the role. Haven't done a lot of research on this guy. Another one to watch. Who else we got here? Who could play? I think Johnson will play round 1. I think it's going to be Ruck relief. That could be good scoring. It might be 15% Ruck time. Obviously, they're not going to move Max out of the way for this guy. Worth watching. I think Whitlock will play round 1 as well. Key forward in Northside. Not overly interested, I must admit. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we've got practice matches coming up in a couple of weeks. My plan for those is to watch them. I'm going to try and take notes. I'll try and do recordings. I don't know if Kay would let me. But I'll try and do recordings and screenshots just to work out where players are so I can show them in videos. I will try and give a recap of all of them. Probably in one video, maybe 2, depending on how long it is. This video is almost an hour long, longer than I expected. Yeah, that's the plan. I probably won't update the team until then unless there's a massive injuries to my players. Please no. I don't want that. No injuries, please. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to discuss the team in the comments. I'll do my best to reply to those. And yeah, have a great evening. See you guys.